So, the issue that I have identified in clinical practice in my workplace is the nurse's ever-growing workload and many tasks given to us throughout the shift without proper resources to efficiently accomplish good and sufficient patient care. The improvement I would like to see would be more chances for quality patient care to improve patient satisfaction scores, as well as nurse morale and reduce nurse burnout. I believe resolving this issue would lead to more efficiency overall due to there being more opportunities for safe and efficient nursing practice to occur. The effectiveness would be seen in nurse morale and retention, and as well as patient scores submitted weekly at my specific hospital. There is also a chance that overall efficiency could positively affect the hospital financially due to less overtime hours worked and less recurring hospital visits due to unresolved issues on previous visits. Hospitals are forcing nurses to have to choose between what is morally right to do versus what they actually have time to achieve during a 12-hour time period. Proper nursing ratios should be put into policy, as well as responsibilities being dispersed more equally amongst hospital staff. Legality concerns that stand out to me are that when nurses compromise patient care, that is their license on the line ultimately. In my stakeholder analysis, I addressed the main individuals or entities involved in my clinical issues, including nurses, who ultimately possess all the power and level of impact since we have direct contact with patients and have to be hired to assume numerous roles in the hospital. Upper management, who tries to keep overhead costs as low as possible. Nearby hospitals, who benefit from this issue due to nurses looking for employment at nearby hospitals, as well as patients seeking better care somewhere else. Those who would be most influential and make the largest impact would be nurses, in my opinion, even though oftentimes than not, upper management is able to most freely be of the highest influence and thus impact all of the other individuals in a multitude of ways. In my cause and effect diagram, it's pretty simple but effective. So really the issue is just roots from not enough staff, in addition to too many tasks, and overall it just compromises patient care. So the team that I chose was a charge nurse, RN. She's been a nurse for over 20 years. Her name is Nurse Waldrop, and then also a tech on our floor who we love dearly because without her we would drown. But we spoke about these and we actually thought it would actually be a really nice thing to bring onto our unit. But as far as we go, as far as our unit goes, we would not necessarily have to develop the need for the change. The change is definitely already there. We could get the information out by during our morning huddles or when we review and have our weekly updates. We could bring it up there and just kind of get the information out there and let everybody know that this is something that we want to implement. Identifying the problem, it's already definitely been identified. It just needs to be brought to the forefront. And the intent to change would be a little bit of, a harder thing to do. It would mostly involve upper management getting on board, but putting the numbers there and doing a trial run of it and showing them that the revenue would not so much be altered in adding, these extra steps to improve patient care. I think that it would help them get on board. Intent into action, we make that plan. We get the plan out there. We show them how we plan to act on it and how long we would need to actually show them that it is achievable. It wouldn't be difficult to adopt this into action. I feel like it's definitely much so something that's needed, and so nurses would jump on board. Not much compliance, non-compliance. I don't think there would be much of that as long as the numbers are there and it makes sense. I think we could get management on board, and it would not be difficult to, after showing them the numbers, get them on board and actually turn this into policy. So I believe the two articles that I chose did a great job of just explaining what they did in ways that would work for us as well, as far as my issue to improve it. So I'm just going to go straight to my articles. So the first article, an expanded institutional and national level blueprint to address nurse burnout and moral suffering amid the evolving pandemic. So even though this was just specifically for the pandemic, it definitely relates to what's going on now as well. So, my first article stated that having enough resources to deliver safe patient care, fostering positive working relationships with colleagues and administration, empowering management to be responsive to clinician concerns, and promoting nurse autonomy can alleviate burnout in any setting. Research has shown that the improvements in nursing and patient outcomes resulting from increased nurse staffing aren't possible without supportive work environments. So that's my first article. The second, I thought also gave great just goals and ways to solve the issue. It's called Nurse Staffing Level and Overtime Associated with Patient Safety, Quality Care, and Care Left Undone in Hospitals. So they just gave great examples of ways to improve work environments. And so a couple of those ways were authorizing nurses to manage staffing, legitimize nursing leadership roles and authority, prioritize nursing professional development, prioritize also the nurse well-being, redesign the workflow, and restructure it as a flat organization to improve nurse autonomy. And I also like the fact that they added in there fostering interdisciplinary relationships. I think my main goal just goes back to my first slide. It just overall to just make sure that nurses are able to do their jobs efficiently, um, and not have too many responsibilities and be expected to get all of them done in a 12-hour period. And as a result, if you can't, you're written up and also have the possibility of losing your license. But my main objective is to just let the nurse managers and leaders have autonomy over how many nurses they deem fit for the tasks or roles, within reason, of course, to get the job done efficiently. And I do think that this is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Okay, so in my force field analysis, I show you the driving forces as well as the restraining forces. And a couple of my driving forces were nurse burnout, not enough incentive, morality of nurses, and patient complaints. And of course, restraining forces. I know it sounds so bad, but upper management wanting hospitals to pay out as less as possible, all while demanding more roles of nurses, which, I mean, straight to it, that's pretty much what's happening. So with the resistance, I mean, I feel like it will mostly come from upper management. We just have to show them why it makes sense. You have to show them why it makes sense. And you have to show them that it's not going to cost the hospital much more than what they're currently putting out. And I think that's not a hard thing to do. You put it in charts, you actually give it a trial run and show them that, like, this is actually a doable thing. As far as nurses and other members of the teams, I don't think it would be something that we would have to motivate them to adopt. I think it would be something that they would pretty much welcome, just so it affects everybody. If, the nurses don't have to work as hard, that means other entities, like I know on our floor, RT or our techs or pharmacy, they probably don't all have to work as hard either. So I think it would benefit everyone in the long run. And like I said, the hardest part of this is just getting upper management on board. They just look at things totally different than people in the actual workforce do, as far as nurses and even the nurse managers. But we show them the numbers and we show them that it'll work, and that it actually betters the hospital overall, and it doesn't cost much more money. I think that they would be on board. So I chose Lewin's change theory. I liked that it was really just straightforward and to the point, and I felt like it was more or the most realistic for the change that I'm trying to bring about. So, um, as far as like getting those around us to adopt the change, like I said before, I don't think that would really be an issue. As long as we like present the numbers and show upper management that it equals it out to the same, but it also, I don't know, it creates a stronger foundation, and nurses are definitely the foundation of the hospital. So the innovators, early adopters, early majority, and late majority, I feel that it's not really an issue with this um, issue that I'm trying to change. I feel like, of course, the upper management will more so be the laggards in this case. They're like, they don't feel like it's broken, it doesn't need to be changed. Um, so that would be the hardest part is how to actually get them to come around. But stating again, I think that it wouldn't really be as hard of a thing to achieve once we, show them how many people, especially the nurses, are on board with it and put the numbers out there and just get the charts out there and actually do a trial run and show them that this is obtainable, this is achievable, and ultimately everybody wins. Okay, so as far as implementation and how it would convince others to adapt to the change, as far as nurses, I don't think there would be much adaptation. We're really just ready for this change anyway. But as far as upper management goes, I think it's just all in the numbers. It's all in the numbers and just putting it to a trial and just showing them that the benefit outweighs the potential extra cost that it would be. But in my opinion, I don't think that it would be that big of a financial cost of the hospital, but in their opinion, whatever isn't broke, you don't fix it. So, but we show them that it is broken and it does need to be fixed. And we can monitor the progress and success actually by like I stated earlier in the presentation, just our weekly satisfaction scores with patients. So that would be a great and easy weekly way to see if it's working. So we could compare, the cost comparatively to patient satisfaction scores. If patient satisfaction scores have gone up exponentially, we're getting more great reviews, which is bringing more revenue to the hospital. I think it would balance out, and then ultimately help bring it into policy. So overall, I think that my issue is a really good one that really does need resolving. I've spoken to many of nurses on my floor, and we're like, we should do this. We really should. So this is like a great way to kind of like figure out how we could put into action. But I do definitely think that the nurse workload is an issue that needs to be fixed, and I do think that it can be improved easily, and it would ultimately give us more chances for quality patient care. Thank you.